I got called out by a dad right in front of a group of parents at a live face-to-face workshop I was running here in Sydney. We were talking about emotionally intelligent parenting, discipline, punishment, all of that good stuff. And then he looked at me and he said, but this way of doing things, wouldn't this take a whole lot more time and effort? Wouldn't it just be quicker to give him a punishment or, a quick consequence or send him to the room and then be done with it? Like, I had this moment of like, I was like, oh my God, my anxiety, you guys know me. It was like, spiked for a second. And then I was like, you know what? Honestly, he's not wrong. It does take more time and it does take more effort. It actually asks more of us, right, as parents, to pause, to regulate ourselves, and to respond with intention rather than just react from frustration. And in a world where we are all rushed, right? We are all stretched, we are overloaded, and let's be honest, like, this way of parenting is inconvenient. It takes conversations when you're tired, problem solving when you've got dinner almost burning on the stove, emotion coaching when basically all you want is some peace and quiet. It's really tempting to take that quick, easy route, to raise your voice, to give the consequence, to, say, go to your room, that's it, right? No one gets the TV, I'm taking that. We think we're saving time, but what are we actually teaching our kids? Punishment might get that quick compliance, 100%. But also what it teaches our kids, and what I think we don't realize a lot of the time, is it teaches them fear, right? It teaches them to shut down or even to lie to avoid getting caught out. It teaches them to maybe act out when we're not around. It actually doesn't build skills. It doesn't build trust, and it doesn't build emotional intelligence. So I said, yeah, emotionally intelligent parenting takes longer. Yes, because we're not trying to control our kids. We're trying to teach them, we're trying to guide them, and we're trying to coach them. And we have to equip them for a world that is really fast, really overwhelming, and increasingly driven by technology and AI. And in that world, these, I hate to call them soft skills, like empathy and emotional regulation and self-awareness and good communication, these are actually no longer optional. They're survival skills. And where do we learn those first? At home, from us, the parents. So yes, this way of parenting might be harder, but also it's way smarter. It's future focused. It's an investment, the most powerful investment you can make in your child's life. And I was actually really proud of myself because I was able to say, if we choose the hard work now, we're actually helping our child not have to unlearn some stuff and unlearn some pain later on. So I choose connection over control and teaching over punishing, and I invite you to do the same. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you guys the story and how I responded and everything more in depth about this way of parenting and why we need to do emotionally intelligent parenting. But before we begin, I want to acknowledge the Darug Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work, and record these videos and this podcast. I pay my respects to all First Nations, their ancestors and their elders, past and present, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. All right, let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back. I want to tell you a story that came from a workshop I was running here in Sydney with a beautiful bunch of parents, and it was so awesome because we even had some dads in the room, and a lot of the time it's mostly the mums, I'll be real. And this conversation went down the path of discipline versus punishment and how should we deal with our kids so that they, learn not to hit, not to swear, not to talk back and things like that. And the dad basically said, this all sounds well and good in theory, but what happens when it comes to the actual moment when I want my kids to settle down, speak nicely to each other, be kind, and know that hitting and kicking and all that stuff is not okay. I don't really have time. Who has time for sitting them down and having long conversations and talking about how each of them are feeling and, we talked about problem solving, whose turn it was and why the other one was upset. And, we went through some examples, and basically the gist of what he was saying, which was a really valid point, is who's got time for this? And I was like, I want to say, I hear ya. This is what I think a lot of parents have this misconception. I absolutely did at the start, because when I started learning about emotional intelligence, I thought, wow, this is fascinating. This is really interesting. But how is this going to apply when my kids are, arguing and not listening and that everything is hitting the fan? You know what I mean? And so I was hesitant to think, like, how long is it going to take me to settle the kids, to work things out with them? Like, sometimes I don't have time. We have to be in the car. We have to be at school, or, they bloody need to get to bed. And so I know that sometimes we have, like, in the background or like swirling underneath, this kind of like undercurrent. That's what I'm trying to find the word. This undercurrent of like, we don't have time for this. Like, this takes too long to sort out who started it, who said what, why this thing is broken and no one's owning up to it. Like, I'm going to validate that it is way quicker to just swoop in there and be like, right, give me the remote. No one gets TV. Like, it is way faster to just come in with, to be honest, a punishment or something that helps, that gets your kids to like cut it out, basically, and to stop whining or to stop complaining or to stop fighting. I totally get that it is quicker, faster, over sooner, much more convenient for us to just take the lead and call the shots and basically be like a referee. That's what I call it. Actually, in my book, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll see this. I'm pointing to this book behind me on the shelf. That's my book, From Chaos to Connection. And it's obviously all about how parenting with emotional intelligence raises kind, confident, resilient kids. And in that book, I literally talk about this concept of the raging referee, which sometimes, so maybe a lot of the time, we can be with our kids, this raging, like stressed, triggered, this referee where we're like, right, you started it, you go to your room, you're not getting your phone for a week, or like we call the shots and we're like a referee basically of a soccer game or whatever. And we sort it out and we are making the decisions and laying down the law. So we can either be this, raging referee, and there's implications for that. But also on the other hand, we could be what I kind of term, it's not a like fancy name or anything, the neutral narrator. I know it's like not a lovely whatever. The idea is that we can either come in with this more neutral energy, so we understand and overcome our triggers and we are not like, hitting the fan as soon as we hear like a ma or dad from the other room. Like, we're managing our own emotions basically and regulating our nervous system so that we can enter the situation with, it could be one kid who's complaining again and again, or it could be siblings who are arguing. And we come in with this neutral energy of like, cool, yep, you guys, okay, you're fighting, come on, let me hear it, like what's gone on, how we can solve this, that kind of energy. And the narrator part of it is that we are essentially, summing this up really quick, by the way, is that we are narrating what we think happened or what seems to be the situation or what we saw happened so that we can help our kids to kind of piece together, what's gone wrong, who did what the goal is or what the aim is. Like, there's, we both want to watch a show and we can't agree. Maybe that's it. Or we both want to turn on the iPad, or he called me a name. I don't know, whatever it is, right? So I totally deeply get in my bones that this way of parenting, and this is what I said basically to the dad, I was like, yeah, this way is not for the faint-hearted. This way of parenting, emotionally intelligent and responsive and attuned, conscious parenting, you could call it. This is not for the parents who don't have time or don't care or just are kind of, still in that space of, kids should be seen, not heard. Like, we don't have to, why are we bothering taking this time to talk to them about emotions? Like, emotions are for girls, for wimps, for sissies, for blah, blah, blah. Like, I also heard those. I asked the group, like, what did you hear? What did you learn from your parents as a kid about emotions and behavior? And all those things came up. And so I totally honor that this is the more difficult way to parent. And this, actually, I remember Alex, my husband, said it on the podcast once. He hasn't been on for a couple of months. I keep saying, come on, babe, you got to come out. Like, we'll get some topics. You got to come back on. People loved it. He's like, yeah. Like, you name the day, whenever. I'm like, today. And then he's busy. But he said on one of the podcasts, I think like in January, he was like, emotional intelligence is super effective as a parent when you have kids that need to cooperate, basically, and yet they're balls of emotion. But also, it takes a heck of a lot of self-discipline. I don't know if that was his exact word, heck of a lot, but I was like, please keep it clean for the podcast, babe. And he did. But like, yeah, he validated that this is not for the faint-hearted. This is not the easy, quick, fast way to parent. This is not the quick, let's go, get in the car, I don't care, like we've got things to do. It's not, you can't rush it. And so it takes more energy from us. It takes way more attention and focus and, I said energy, but like it is calling a lot out of us, right? We're being called to kind of step up and do more and be better and evolve. And both of us definitely have, at least here at home. But the parents I coach, like I do coaching, parent coaching one-on-one, and they say, whoa, this is not like that. By no means it's the easy way, but whoa, the fruits of it, like the fruits of our labor and the results and the stuff that I'm seeing now with my kids, like it just feels so different. And I didn't realize it could be like this, It's making me think of a client I just started with, beautiful mum, and we had one session together, and she said things were easier today and yesterday morning. Like we literally have had one coaching session on Zoom, and she's overseas, and it doesn't matter. And she said, yeah, Monday and Tuesday, beautiful, like things were calmer. I was a lot less stressed off the get-go. I didn't wake up thinking, oh my God, what are we going to face today? And I'm like, look, like already. And I'm like, please, keep in mind that days are going to go up and down. You're going to fluctuate, but look at what this does. The moment you step in and go, you know what? I think there's something to this, and I'm going to put my both feet in and start to learn and start to implement and try and just make little tweaks and changes at home. Anyway, so it is not, it's not for the faint-hearted. It is not the going back to the dad in the workshop. I was like, beautiful question. I want to address this because I'm not here. I'm not standing up the front of you guys. I'm not standing up here saying this is going to be the easiest, most breezy, beautiful, fun thing you're doing. Like this is calling us to do greater and to be more and to put effort in. Like we actually have to put effort into parenting. And I think I said this, I was like, imagine it was a 2.5 hour workshop. So not a short thing. And I said, imagine if parents were told, like if you guys knew all this, that you had to do all this stuff, like if you wanted to have, a pretty nice, calm, smooth home life and family, like imagine if you knew this before you had kids. I don't think we'd have kids. I think half of us would be like, yeah, nah, that sounds like a lot of work. Like I've already got my job. I already have like other, family and relationships and other, things I got to do on my plate. Like, yeah, this sounds hard. This sounds tough. And I'm like, yep, I totally get it. That's probably why they don't tell us. So coming back to it, if you're listening to this podcast or watching these YouTube videos and you're going, sorry about that, not coughing. But if you are listening to this stuff and learning about it and going, this sounds amazing, but it's really hard. Like I still find myself snapping with my kids or blowing up or getting frustrated and thinking, why are you doing that? I've told you not to do it like 3 times today. Or you've been going to school for 3 years. How can you still not know to get your bag and your shoes and like, it's supposed to be like that. I'm not saying it's supposed to be like super difficult and like you're not making any headway. If that's the case, please, like I'm going to take this moment to just plug, reach out to me and my team. You'll find all of the links and everything below, wherever. You can find me online in multiple places. And it might be that you are ready to take that next step to do an online self-paced course where you can do it in the comfort of your own home or whilst you're out walking or exercising or whatever on your phone. It gives you that extra layer of accountability and that deeper knowledge than just listening or reading, to things. And then obviously coaching is that next step too. But I just want to validate that, yes, this is the harder path. It is so effing well worth it though. It is so empowering as a parent, and you cannot fathom, I trust that you cannot fathom the changes and the impacts that you're having on your kids' lives. Not just now. Please don't think of like, yes, we have calmer home lives. Things are easier. Our kids are way more cooperative. We deal with emotions like it's, kind of bread and butter. But think about them in 5 years. How old is your child going to be in 10 years? Whoa, my kids will be 18 and 20. Oh my God. Think about where they're going to be at. Think about what you experienced as a teenager or a young adult. Breakups, like grief, loss, shame, embarrassment, guilt. Like we all go through things where we're like, I really wanted that job and I didn't get it. Or I really love that girl and she broke up with me. Like our kids are going to go through this stuff. They actually need the skills, the emotional intelligence to know how to handle it. Because let me tell you, when they don't, when we parent from a place of like fear and control, shove that down, I don't want to see it, go to your room, don't be a baby, like all of that stuff, rub some dirt in it. What do you think they're going to do when they're 18 and 20 and they have a breakup, or they get in trouble and they make a big mistake and then they think, oh my God, like don't ever let mum or dad find out about this. They're the last people that I'm ever going to tell. I'm going to take it to my grave. Like I said again today in the workshop, I'm like, guys, you want to be the askable and the tellable parent. You want your kids to be able to like, I'm going to mum or dad with this. They're going to help. They know what to do. Like you want to be that safety net. And so we need to teach our kids these skills. We need to teach them emotional intelligence. We need to teach them how to be mad, not to be mad, and so on with all the other emotions. I'm like, they're bloody emotions. They're not emergencies. Can we just get over it and like teach it like we would? You teach your kid how to ride a bike. You teach your kid how to read a book. You teach your kid how to, I don't know, cook eggs on the stove. I'm just making it up. But do you know what I mean? Why is it any different? And I'll tell you why it's different. In a nutshell, before I wrap up, it's because we have this undercurrent, these blueprints, I call them, this programming from probably the 70s or the 80s, or whenever you were raised, that is wrong. That's outdated. That's actually wildly unhelpful and can sometimes be really toxic. Because now look at the bloody mental health rates and the anxiety and the depression and the self-harm and the suicide. I'm like, guys, I think we need to help people with emotions, not keep telling them to shove it down or to suck it up. Rant over. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. One day. Okay, I would absolutely love to hear, please, especially if you are watching on YouTube, you can comment straight away. Please put down, like, what was it like for you growing up? Was this normal for you, talking about emotions and understanding and being, like, having empathy and compassion from your parents or caregivers? Or were you one of the people who your parents were like, shove it down, I don't want to see it, go to your room, time out, like, that's enough, don't be a princess, I would love to hear. I want to get the conversation going. Please keep an eye out. If you also check the show notes or the description, because I have one of my most popular online parenting courses, which usually is $97. I'm giving it to you guys for $17. So the code is down there. You'll be able to find it. Go on, grab it. My team and I haven't really decided how long we're going to leave that up for, but probably just this month. So please go in and grab it. It's like the perfect next step, the best way to start, and you'll get lifetime access to it anyway. And yeah, that's my invitation to you. Go on, check that out. It's on my website, but look down below for the exact link. This is the stuff that I think, you know what, like my mission is to revolutionize parenting by making emotional intelligence the standard, not a bonus or not something nice to have. Like this stuff is non-negotiable, especially for the future that we're looking at our kids growing up into. I teach, I coach, I inspire parents, hopefully a little bit, to raise emotionally intelligent and emotionally resilient kids by embracing empathy and connection and compassion. They need to be our core parenting tools. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I will see you somewhere else online very, very soon, I'm sure. Have a great rest of your day.